How's it going out there tonight, Rifters? It's a short video tonight. I wanted to talk about these guys. Coalition Grunt specifically, but any of the Coalition soldiers. I realized that I've been using them kind of as cannon fodder in my combat examples, and I don't have any special house rules for playing Coalition Grunts or anything, but I just thought I should mention that I see them as, okay, so I haven't had really any that I can remember in the few times I've run. I don't think I've ever had a Coalition character in my player groups, but they're not just, so I've been making house rules to make the show and then showing off how my Crazy or the Cyber Knight, how they can take out at least a grunt or two each. Now that's not to devalue the grunt, the soldier as a player. I don't want somebody in my group who's playing to be like, if they're playing the Coalition Grunt, I don't want them to feel half as useful as the Cyber Knight or the Juicer or Crazy, for instance. I think their purpose and fun and use lies in a different area. I like to play them as and run them as, yes, maybe they're not the toughest like the Grunt. We'll stay with the Grunt specifically. He's not the most full of special abilities kind of character, like a Juicer or somebody like that. But their strength lies in their equipment, their availability of equipment, and they've got the backing of entire governments and millions of citizenry paying their taxes and outfitting these guys. So I like to play that up as their strength. And that's not necessarily straightforward either, because it's going to be, for a player, it's a bit of a tightrope walk. I would always run it as, if I have a player in the group, he's probably the only Coalition guy, and say everybody else is Crazy, say a Juicer, say a Dragon, who knows what else, right? Rogue Scholar. By the rules, the Coalition Grunt shouldn't be hanging around those guys, but these are would always be an exception to the rule. The player characters, they're an exceptional Grunt. I'd probably start him in like the starting town, wherever maybe a base town. There's probably a small outpost of Coalition soldiers there, and this guy has somehow gained the trust or whatever, he's been handed or forced to take on the tasks of just going along with these schmoes, these undesirables to kill, DBs, whatever. So in the case of a group consisting of a single Coalition Grunt, I'd have all of his, for the most part, most of his values in line with the mission of the rest of the party. So let's say the first adventure, they gotta kill a demon type nasty monster in the wilderness that's been harassing the town. The outpost would certainly be all about that as well. So they wouldn't have probably instructions from Central Command to go do that. But if the Coalition Grunt says, I'm going with this band of yahoos, we're going to take out this monster, I would rule it that he gets outfitted and supported for that mission. His commanding officer would be like, yeah, sure, go ahead. We don't care if you die. What do you need? If you want to go take out that thing, that's for the betterment of the Coalition states in their view. So in my opinion, the Coalition Grunt really comes into his own there. He can outfit himself with, according to, depending on the mission and his relationship with his superior, he can get outfitted, with a Spider Skullwalker or an Enforcer. And this guy does have Robot Combat Basic. I'd probably make him choose one Robot Combat Basic in Samus, Enforcer, or Spider Skullwalker. Not all of them. But I'd allow him to, quote, borrow a power armor if needed, if he thought he wanted it for the adventure. And, you know, within reason, of course. If they're going to kill a band of goblins, they're not going to give him an enforcer, probably. They might give him some Samus. But he also gets, you know, pretty well unlimited ammunition, replacement energy rifles, pistols, grenades, fusion blocks, all that good stuff. Armor replacement. So this guy, you know, I'm hard on everybody. This is a post-apocalypse, post-apocalypse for the most part. And I make everybody spend all their money on armor repair and ammo, recharging, and all that jazz. So this guy, you know, he pretty much gets it all for free, within reason. And it would be fun. I've never done this, but I could see it being fun as time goes on. He has to start making some tough decisions, moral decisions, how he can, you know, spin things to his superior officers and get away with certain missions, and why he's working with, you know, these undesirables so much and things like that. Yeah, so that's the interesting part of why you'd play a grunt, in my view. They're not the toughest, they're not the strongest, they're not the fastest, but they are the most, probably the best connected, the best outfitted. The Coalition equipment, War Machine, in my games is always unsurpassed in the areas we play in. So going out past the base town, let's think and talk about that a little bit. If I long-term adventure, say the group, you know, they inevitably leave their base town and they travel a ways. All along the way, this guy would have communications with other outposts, or maybe patrols in the area. He would get the odd, you know, he could listen into their frequencies because he's got the decryption, you know, key or whatever. So he could get support from one-off, say a patrol's just passing through and they're out in the middle of nowhere and a patrol is nearby, assuming that they're not actively against, you know, antagonizing the patrol, as long as the group's not laying in ambush to take out this patrol. I would allow them to, you know, he could request aid or recharge or more armor, or, you know, minor things. They're not gonna hand him a Spider Skullwalker by any means, but you know, he could get recharged. He could grab a few extra ammunition mags, maybe pass a couple off to his companions even. So that's the fun in Coalition Grunt, I think. Anyways, same with the SAM pilot. He'd be in a similar position. The specialist is a lot of fun. The tech officer, I could see him being, I don't know, he's basically just an operator in my games. Of course, he's, you know, he is under the thumb of the Coalition constantly. But as long as he's not making, you know, requests for large pieces of equipment or whatever, I would kind of give him a longer leash. He's just out fixing stuff and, you know, whatever. Never had one in my party though, so I can't speak from experience there. I may change my mind once I get into it. Another thing I should mention too is whatever this guy asks for, he's got to have the skills to support it. So if he doesn't have robot combat, you know, basic for Skullwalker, they're not going to give it to him. So that encourages the player who's playing this character to wisely choose the skills. He's got the Grunt has, like, all these guys are trained well compared to the other classes, as they should be, coming from the Coalition army. So they get lots of skill choices, and whatever they have a skill in, I pretty much give them if they give it to them upon request. And that's just a little flavor talk about the Coalition Grunt and how they would play out as a player character. The mooks that I'm using for my shootouts are just a random dude in heavy dead boy armor with a heavy assault rifle. I think the player character Coalition Grunt has a lot of good skills to be to be made use of. Roll on.